Hello and welcome to yet another beautiful morning and another exciting episode of Rise and Shine. And looking at the mood this morning, it's quite chilly, especially right here in the studio. I want to believe everyone agrees with me.
I do.
Good morning out there for whoever's watching, whatever time you're watching, but good morning to you. How are we feeling? I believe one person is really getting chilly right now. So I hope that's not going to affect the
No, don't worry. When the job starts proper, I'm going to just phase into it.
Okay, and also...
Anyone who's feeling cold in the house, grab a cup of coffee, just sit down in front of your TV and watch us.
Exactly.
I'm going to drive with you.
That's a nice solution.
I'll talk to warm you up.
You should have got me a cup of coffee before we started then.
You didn't ask.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll ask when we're going to break.
I'll be nice tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We should have today to be nice.
And another thing to point out, let's point out something else. Apart from the fact that we're chilly, I have the men in yellow today.
And you're in blue.
What's, are we celebrating something, Emmanuel?
It wasn't planned actually.
It wasn't planned, yeah.
But we are bright today because my blue is quite bright.
True though.
So we're tagging it as regards the festive period. Okay, I'm not sure I want to keep up with this particular one. Looking all bright.
I'll switch it up tomorrow.
It's a good one. Okay then, as always, let's start off with the paper review for today. We'll be looking at the lead stories in the newspapers, and we'll be starting off with the Guardian news. And yes, for the Guardian, looking at the headlines, which we see, it says Nigeria takes in 7.8 trillion naira from company income tax in 6 years. So that's the one in bold. But we'll start off with the sub stories. It says stop paying lip service. Stop paying lip service to insecurity, Sultan tells the federal government. And moving on to the next one, it says Ebonyi indigents condemn killing of Mwode fiancé over refusal to join APC. Another story on the Guardian newspaper is why we sent memorandum to National Assembly on devolution of powers by Biafra agitators. And we also have motorists trapped in a gridlock after twin tanker explosions on Lagos to Ibadan Highway. And once again, looking at the middle, the boldest headline story on the paper, Nigeria rakes in 7.8 trillion naira from company income tax in 6 years. We're doing well on that particular one. What's the update on that? Well, let's have a look at another newspaper before we get into it.
All right, moving on to the front page of the Punch newspaper. The boldest headline here says, Retired Generals, NEF orders warn against hiring mercenaries. One of the buy stories up top the page says military can cope with Nigeria's security challenges. Right after that one, we have federal government raises panel to renegotiate 1999 agreement with ASU orders. And after that one, we also do have National Assembly lacks powers to produce new constitution. And there's this interesting one just up top the page, which you will find the full story on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. And it says, Buhari to go tough on discuss agents selling prepaid meters.
Federal government inaugurates negotiations with ASU, others on 2009 agreements. And the big one goes why Buhari should resign by the Northern Elders Forum. That's the biggest story they have. That's a big story. Still in the paper, we could see lots of bank stories around, from CBN introduces Nigeria's special bills to First Bank launches next generation ATM. Only God knows. I hope we don't have robots. And then Zenith Bank emerges Bank of the Year. But still with Tribune though, there's some other interesting parts of the headlines that I feel, even if we don't talk about it, we just can't do them. COVID-19, UK approves Pfizer BioNTech vaccine for use from next week. They also have one that you guys might find interesting. Don't expect a brand new constitution, says the Deputy Senate President. If you want that, and then Nigeria's political architecture promotes indolence. That's a governor.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting on this particular paper.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's have a look quickly at the Daily Sun and look at the lead stories for that. So the major one we have really bold says our honor reps summon, and that's coming from the President Muhammadu Buhari. And looking at sub-stories underneath, it says declaration of state of emergency more important than your appearance, lawmakers tell President. And I'm also coming from Saraki. Still on that particular front page of the paper, it says, "We must unite to stop Nigeria from collapse." That's from Saraki. And then moving down on the paper, we have other stories in bold. Let's look at the first one, which is in bold. And that's, it says, "Health workers to shut down hospitals."
Oh my word.
Right, and on my right, looking at visas, also it says United Kingdom opens new routes for skilled workers. Underneath we have ex-Zamfara deputy government dumps APC for PDP, defection. We have that, a lot of that. And back to the bold one once again underneath, I skipped that. It says give a federal government 2 weeks to address demands. And lastly, it says Nigeria's restructuring inevitable, and that's coming from Governor Akeredolu. Okay, it's
Until Vanguard newspaper, the Borders headline here says military overwhelmed by security challenges, and the full story for that one is we'll find on page 5. And to the bottom of the page, we have Senate passes 2020 finance bill for first, second reading on the same day. It also says firm drags SAN to LPPC MBA over alleged misappropriation. SAN denies allegation, demands 115 million legal fee. And right beside that, we have Assistant Commissioner of Police hacked to death in Calabar. That's a sad one, and I think the story you will find on page 4. Just a little below that, that says 2023 Kogi Assembly passes resolution asking Governor Bello to vie for presidency.
Interesting.
That's basically it. Kogi State Governor already, thinking of contesting for the presidency.
Okay, well, we get the ticket.
There's this part of
Maybe.
it that says like federal government's threats of ban on Christmas caroling sensitive by Can, and I'm thinking, wait, is it not? Or is it not only COVID-19 season? Anyway, let's we don't have to talk in that with that one. Alright, so we're moving over to the Nation newspapers. Okay, before I go into their biggest headlines, let's start from the top. 774,000 jobs failed to take off again. They promised us 1,000 per local government. That didn't work. So says it's funding and logistics that's the problem. Yeah, blame something now, don't we? And then followed by that it goes NSARS police ask court to stop judicial panels. Interesting.
Right.
Why? And then bankers awards, any bank picks up best bank of the year. Police impounds 2 billion vans moving cash.
Wow.
Okay, that would be interesting to read out. And then the biggest headline from the Nation newspaper says governors fear spread of insurgency to other regions. They had met yesterday, so we're expecting whatever it is they're going to say from that one. And Sultan says no place is safe in Nigeria now. Buhari to honor house invitation coming from the lawmakers, and then bandits did their thing again. And then that like they have nothing else to do now, so they did their thing again, like doing for people in an attack on the market. And then they also have the COVID-19 vaccine to roll out in the UK, which everybody has been applauding because we can have been in lockdown for a while now.
Yeah.
And so they've ordered about 20 million jabs of the vaccines. Hopefully, get something to resolve this whole COVID-19 pandemic. Because I'm tired.
Right, and safe to say these are the headlines for the
yeah.
newspapers
That's all.
for today's
So let us,
episode.
whoever's finding any of those stories interesting.
Okay, and
I
talking
do.
about the stories for either of you, which one would you say you find the most captivating at this point in time? Looking at all the papers we've gone through, Guardian,
The
Nation.
fact that this is like day 4, I was still talking insecurity, and that was rolling through. I'm sure if there's anybody who feels safe now, you probably believing in El Dorado. Just tell me the places so I can come join you there.
I think that the headline that caught my attention was the fact that Buhari is now willing to sanction discourse and any other agent that are selling the meters instead of giving out to people
Another
for free.
surprising one, looking at what you said, especially coming from the defense of the speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, about inviting the president over, and the fact that he's agreed to it, especially looking at what the two of you said, it's quite surprising.
I didn't see it coming.
Well, I'm glad we're going to have that look at that in our in-depth analysis.
Well, he said he will
Obviously-
respond. He didn't say
obviously
he will
it has
come,
to
so
be.
it could be virtual.
It would be virtual, not it could be. We'll rule out it. Come on now, and then we're asking for it to come at this point in time.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Okay. So like I said, that's been the headline newspaper reviews. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, it's straight into the in-depth analysis of the news. Do stay tuned with us for all the topics that we've picked for today. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, and now it's time to get into the full episode of the day. It's starting off with our in-depth analysis. Let's have a look at the top stories we've picked for our in-depth analysis for today. So starting off with the first one, it says President Muhammadu Buhari agrees to address the House of Representatives over insecurity. On the second story, we say federal government to sanction discos defense. For the third one, it says the federal government clarifies vehicles owners to pay $250,000 to convert cars to autonomous. And another story says federal government set up a committee to regenerate or renegotiate rather with the ASU on its 1999 agreement. Lastly, it says Nigerian police counters allegations on photos shared on social media. That's about Photoshop pictures. Now let's get straight into the in-depth analysis. Okay, so starting off with our first story, which we looked at yesterday, and I'm excited because we have, as quickly as possible, updates on this particular one. I mean, we were looking at requirements and so many other things, and I like things when updates come like this, because it feels like the government is actually watching the program, you know, and listening to it. So it shows that our minds are working on the same level ground, and that's
always ready to give it to our viewers. Whatever update that comes, we're ready to give it to you fresh,
exactly.
hot. There for you.
So let's start off with the first story, where I said the headline read, "Federal government clarifies vehicle owners to pay 250,000 naira to convert cars to auto gas." And details of the story says the federal government has explained that vehicle owners in the country will pay 250,000 naira to convert their cars to auto gas from petrol. It will be recalled that earlier in the week, the group managing director NNPC, Melikiari, had assured that 1 million cars are to be powered by auto gas free of charge. However, speaking with newsmen earlier, or rather during the week, Justice Derifaka, the technical advisor of gas business and policy implementation to the Minister of State for Petroleum, and that's in the person of Timi Silva, clarified that vehicle owners will have different payment plans to convert their cars to auto gas. At this point in time, for those who might not enjoy me talking and going on and on, we have an insert to the effect of this particular story, so let's have that reeled in with the help of our producers. Moving on aside that. All right, Emmanuel or Arawa, especially for Arawa. I want to start off with Arawa at this point in time because
Feel free. No, I don't.
Arawa had.
The other one is suit.
Why I'm going with Arawa first is because he had the least optimism when it came to this particular story yesterday.
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Now it's fine. Okay, good.
Now I want to know what your opinion is, what your view is on this particular update at this
Okay.
Today.
Ignoring what I said yesterday.
Wow,
of which I wasn't barring anyone yesterday. I wasn't bashing anyone. I was just trying to, pick out some points that should have been considered before bringing this up.
It's good.
Yeah, exactly. So today now, after having, to look thoroughly at the whole implementation through yesterday till now, I think it's actually a good idea. But what I don't understand now is why yesterday was supposed to be for 1 million people and free. And today we're paying 250,000 naira.
I have to stop you there on that particular one. They're still doing 1 million for free, but as it goes, obviously the ones that will make it in the 1 million cards will have to pay 200,000.
Okay, but the 1 million is for free.
Yes, it's still for free.
Okay.
But
I think it's good enough then.
There's also still a clause, and that's the thing that I don't like.
Now the clause sounds like the same one with the solar power thing. Now they have a payment plan, right? If you can pay the 250 at once, they have a way to break it down for you and help you. What happens if you can't pay eventually? Do they take your car, or what exactly happens? These are the kind of things I'm saying.
And
Fill us in on
as
the whole
regards
story.
it, looking at, if I'm not wrong, following the story, looking at the plan or the payment, which is 250,000 naira, and also apparently depends on your car. So maybe they're going to be going with models, and maybe probably depending on how hard it will be to actually, get the gas running in the car at that point in time. So 250,000 naira, looking at what they're saying, is a particular range, but depending on you, luckily enough for you might have to spend less. But then again, 250,000 naira, looking at the cars that we have, how many people spent that much on the cars that they want to then go and change to auto gas? So it's still not completely fair.
I think it's not completely fair.
Although
if you
you're going
want
to say we're getting cheaper gas,
if you want to get it and
it.
drive it on your own, but then if you want to get it and use it maybe as a taxi or something, then that's a
Exactly.
different ballgame entirely. Because we know people who involve themselves with all those private kind of taxis and all that, and then they make maybe 50, 60K in a day,
Okay,
or
well,
even
in my
2
more
days. So.
PR defense, before we go into that, another thing, quickly before you do it, yes, you really are prepped for it.
For me, I'm sounding like a PR person.
Okay.
I've tried so hard because mainly that story came up. I had to go do background check and I read up about it. So when this came up this morning, and when the news started circulating that we're going to pay, I said, okay, this makes more sense. But no, don't answer your question.
Okay, so yes, it makes sense, and I've mentioned that. Luckily for some people, depending on the model of their cars, they might have to spend less money. It might not go up to that 250,000 naira. But still looking at it, honestly, are you going to be giving us an installment plan, or are we going to have to pay the 250,000 naira
No, installment.
upfront? I mean, how is this now fair? How is this much of an alternative if I have to actually gather the 250,000 naira just so I can get a cheaper form of running my car or powering my car?
Okay, here's how I'll start. Viewers, please clear with me. I am not trying to sound like I'm explaining on behalf of the government.
Okay.
But I did watch the interview on Channels TV when the Nufaka came and then did that interview when he was answering the things. Now, he tried to explain to us that indeed it is free if you consider the way you want to pay for it. He gave the example of you going to your bank, and then your bank would approach the conversion center, where they will now tell you, okay, do this on behalf of my customer. They wouldn't pay. So this time you have to pay for that conversion. Each time you come to refill your gas, you make a payment. So you're actually not paying on the spot for the conversion to happen.
Okay.
They just do it for you based on the agreement you have with your bank. So each time you come for a refill, you now go there. I don't know how they do the ratings, because if for instance you're supposed to pay 28,000, you end up paying like 30,000 each time you go there.
For a refill.
For every refill. And that's where they're deducting it. But it got to be a big confusing.
So a refill is how much?
We don't know about that. I'm not a fan already of this particular procedure, this process.
Yesterday I had to clarify. For instance, let me give the example of you having 2 or 3 cars. First off, anybody who has that many cars shouldn't be finding 250,000 as a problem for conversion. For you to have 3 cars, you're probably not in our level of lower class. You're not even the middle class. You're even 3 cars. And then you wouldn't do that for all 3 of your cars. Be smart about it.
Definitely.
Now, if you decide to do that for 1 car, 250,000 naira shouldn't be a problem for you.
That's for those who have 3 or 4 for those.
I said the maths again, because it really just sent me to my whole mathematics. I got on my calculator to do it. And I said, he mentioned your plan will now be for 5 to 7 months. So if you break down 250,000 naira, because it's held between 200 and 250,000.
Yeah.
So if you break that down to between 5 and 7 months, you end up paying about 25 to 28,000 naira every month. Now, on average, a full tank will be how much in a month? Most people have, I remember
some people go up to as 15K.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Some do that in a week.
Yes.
15,000 naira in a week.
Yeah.
So if you do 25,000 naira in a month, 25,000, that's really fair. If you calculate it pretty much, because if you do 15,000 in a week, in a month that's almost 60,000. So it's really
Now,
really
are you talking about those who have 3 cars? Because I don't see someone who has 1 car being able to pay 15,000 naira for fuel at once.
You're thinking, okay, why would I convert this thing to this? You have to look at the pros and the cons. Because I now read something about your car idling.
Okay.
Idling is IDLI NG. That when you leave your
Yeah,
car
just leave it there.
Now, example is when you stop at the traffic light. When you stop there, your gas is still going out.
Yes.
Well, Emmanuel, listening on to something you just said, going back to that, you said if you have one car, then you now have to think twice about
You have to
going for
decide
it.
whether you want to do it.
But
So
it's
it's not
supposed to
for
be
the
an
lower class.
alternative choice for you at this
Yes.
point to make your life easier. So why do I have to still contemplate about it
Exactly.
at this point?
Meaning it's not for the lower
I mean,
class.
because it's definitely not for those who have 3 or 4 cars. And
True.
those are not the target audience at this point in time. So if I now only have one car and then I still have to contemplate about this, then really, who are we favoring with this?
No, that's what I'm saying.
project?
It's a choice thing. When they say it's an alternative.
When you
have one
changed
car.
the whole view.
Okay.
Now
have
it's become
one
a
car.
choice.
I'm saying it's your choice because ideally it's cheaper to do gas than petrol.
Okay.
It says we've done the dynamics here.
Known fact.
We've done
Known
that.
fact.
Now, if I decide my own car, I want to convert it, and I said, okay, fine. How do I go about it? I don't have 250,000 naira to go. I go to my bank. That was the example he gave. I go to my bank and I say, okay, I want to do this. The bank goes to the conversion and says, okay, do this for my customer. He operates an account with us where you think he can do this during this period and he would not default. And then they begin to do that removal of
Deduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will clear in 5 and 7 months.
That one is still understandable.
That's what I'm saying, but it's a choice thing. If I decide not to do that and I stick to petrol, it's fine. I was giving you examples of having a gas car as compared to a petrol car. Those stops, for example, when you stop to pick up your friend at a bus park, or you're waiting for your friend to come back in, or you decide maybe you just want to park your car to buy something on the road, but you don't want to turn off the engine. At those times, that's why it compares to a fuel. It has its advantage. It's going away.
Yeah.
As long as that car is on, your gas is slipping away. So most likely, if you're not using your car and you just leave it and it's running, because sometimes they'll tell you just warm your car, your engine before you go out. Leave for a couple of minutes. All those periods, your gas is going away.
But why exactly are we going for an alternative means to fuel? The answer would be to reduce the cost we're spending on fuel, especially for the lower class people. Now, if a lower class person cannot afford the gas or afford to convert the car, then how exactly is it for the low class people who could not afford fuel?
Like I said, I keep going round and round. Basically, as I said,
then it's not for those people.
No, since we said it's an alternative, okay, I keep saying that thing. You're not compelled. You're not. Hang on.
I know it's not. I know no one is compelled. But if we're complaining we don't want to buy fuel at 150 and above,
Yes.
why should I have to save money to buy
a conversion?
Exactly.
Then keep your car at home and use public transport.
Then it is not for us. It is for those who have 2 and 3 cars.
Is that the big idea about this project is not great, and that means it's not going to be
Yes.
successful in the end. If a lot of people decide that, okay, at this point
I can't
in time,
afford
still
this, I'm not
feel
getting
fuel is
it.
better for me. So
Okay,
why is it out
the
there?
challenge now is the conversion, not the after effect of the conversion.
Both.
Not the after,
Because
before
for
the
me-
for you both.
for me it is both.
Because just explain.
Do you know why it is both
After
for me?
conversion is
Let me explain why it is both for me. After the conversion now, loads of people that this thing is supposed to be benefiting or making their lives better are those that are trying to use it for businesses. Those are, let's say, the taxi drivers now. They cannot afford to convert it. But now let's say they can afford to convert it. They will be driving around stuck in Lagos or Nigerian traffic, burning the same gas that you're supposed to use to make their lives better.
That one, I have no solution.
So that's why I said
So,
public relations
it's not
is
helping.
working out.
Hypothetically.
Driving is 5 and 6. One of the things I hate doing is driving in Lagos.
So we're not making their lives better, we're making it more difficult. And now we wouldn't have enough refueling stations like the normal petrol stations. So now before you have to get to drive from wherever you are to where you... And that's another problem.
Yeah, we're looking at problems. Can we just look at the positives first?
You're bringing positives, let me bring problems.
At this point in time, we're already seeing negatives are getting stronger.
Yeah.
Look,
For every speech they give, negatives come
I give
out.
a simple example in ATM. Like yesterday we had this conversation. And that was how we were throwing this thing back and forth. They did the same thing with the railway system. Oh, now they're breaking cars. How many of the trains got just one? And then everybody's...
Don't just one. Do you know why you shouldn't just one? Because it has not even lasted 2 months before it broke down.
Wait, that's not my... Just one. How about the rest of them?
I'm not talking the rest of them. It shouldn't be breaking down 2 months after installation.
Hang on, just like nobody told you those trains were new now. Those were refurbished trains.
Why are you bringing us refurbished trains that have been used in other countries? Why?
It's just like the argument we were having yesterday concerning using 81 million to cut grass.
Yeah.
And if there's someone tells you that, you better ask yourself, who would approve that kind of
Okay, Emmanuel, to cut you just real quick, I just want to point out that yes, our lines are not officially open yet, but you can tweet at us your opinions as regards this one, because in the end, it's not just only us. I mean,
True.
that are going to
of course.
participate in this, are actually going to take part in this and seeing ways we can work around this.
Yeah.
If you want to get a car and you actually want to do the conversion. For you out there, if you have a car and you're thinking about this and you want to share your opinions about it, please tweet us at FubuTVNG. As you can see, the handle is on the screen. We want to have your lovely opinions and contributions. And where you stopped, Emmanuel?
Now, I'm not for whether this is got advantage and disadvantage, because if you try to measure it, one might outweigh the other. But the fact that we're still insisting that this is not a must, it is an alternative. We've not died since releasing petrol cars. We've not died.
Yes.
It does its own damage to our environment. That's not. Do we still use diesel cars? This is not even a conversion for diesel cars. It's still for petrol cars. The question is, now that you have diesel, petrol, and then gas as an alternative, use one.
And diesel, just to put this out there, is much more expensive than fuel. That's one. Continue.
And this one is not cheaper than the other two.
It is cheaper. It is cheaper to buy it, but now when you have to convert your car and refuel, and the amounts that you would have to buy every time it runs out, it doesn't make it cheaper. I'm not killing the alternative. Let me ask you a question. If you, let's say we have 200 million people in Nigeria. How many percentage of them do you think is the masses, or let me use the word the poor people? Do you think we have more poor people than the wealthy ones?
Of course we do.
Now, whose lives are you supposed to be making easier, the wealthy ones or the poor ones? Answer the question. The poor ones. Now, if the poor ones cannot afford to convert their cars to auto gas, now even if they now take loans...
The poor ones have cars. Let's not be stuck about it.
Now you're supporting me, because if those poor people do not have cars...
I have to take you on that one, on that particular statement, when you see how many of the poor ones even have cars. You know, for our middle class here, looking at when we looked at the household income, even for those who we thought were middle class, are still under skilled appreciation.
Exactly.
Sure.
So when you're saying poor ones, middle class still falls under it in our own opinion.
And those are the class of people whose lives were supposed to be making better. Now the option you're giving them is diesel, that is the most expensive, fuel that's close to diesel, or the auto gas that they will eventually not be able to afford. So how... I don't know what... I expect you to make their lives easier, not more difficult.
If your argument had been public transportation does this, is cheaper, the government decides to... Hang on. If the government decides to run public transportation on gas, they are the ones doing the conversion, and then you are paying cheaper for public transport, would you say the same thing?
That's not happening. You're saying we should convert our cars. You're not telling us it's public transport and government is converting it themselves. That's not what's happening. My point is, when you come up with alternative ideas.
Another alternative. And your cars will run on air.
Okay.
On air. Just breathe.
At what cost would that car run on air? And who is running on air going to favor? Those who already have money or those who do not have? That's my question. Make the life of the masses easier, not make it more difficult.
All right, Emmanuel.
Would the poor people be thinking of which car they would drive, or how they would...
Do the poor people even have money to buy fuel of 145 naira? How will they...
When you are a poor person, is that your aspiration?
So we're making plans.
Still involved, Emmanuel.
So we're making plans that still limit the.
He also includes them as
Are you
well.
still a poor person?
Now, are you saying every plan they come up with? Okay, so the fact that you have a car means you're not poor.
I asked a simple question. You say yes or no. I have a car. Does that make me a poor person?
Yes and no.
Depends.
Okay, so
You're probably not eating properly.
Exactly. I might have a car because I run.
No, let's not understand the question. I have a car. Does that make me a poor person?
Yes and no.
Fine. Now, I just gave you an alternative to make your car that you own cheaper.
You didn't give me an alternative, because when the pros and cons are laid on the table, it is not cheaper.
I do not insist that you should go and take that alternative.
Then how is that an alternative that makes my life better?
But you have a car.
My question for you, my question,
it could
run.
You use the car.
Emmanuel, class captain card is about...
Go ahead and use your car the way you use it.
Then if you want me to use my car the way I've been using it since, make the fuel or the diesel cheaper.
Officially,
like the regulation.
I never mentioned the regulation. I'm saying make it cheaper. That's what you wanted. I'm saying.
I mean, following the news, we wanted the regulation because that was going to make the thing cheaper by following market forces.
Emmanuel, just listen to me. The purpose of a government is not to make the life of the masses more difficult. Now, if you're saying you're coming with alternative for who? If it's not making the life of those of us that are poor better, why are you giving it to us? Why are you always thinking of those that can afford it? What happens to us that cannot? We can't afford fuel.
Okay.
How am I going to afford auto gas or having to be stuck in the traffic when I borrow money to reconvert the car that I could hardly buy in the first place?
You've said yes, and I'm taking that as your final point on this topic. Today we're going to be wrapping it up shortly, very soon. So Emmanuel, we have a tweet, and then you take your final take on this story, and we move on.
Okay.
Because it's getting too much. Before punches start flying.
It's just understanding. If we understand the way these things work, we won't have these arguments. Anyway, so at Daily Stylistics reply to us says, how safe is this auto gas to people's health? Inhaling gas can be dangerous.
Yes.
Now, I was going to even say all this. This was one of the examples. I was going to list them out. But because we're all hounding about the cars itself. No. Look, when I was trying to explain idling, when your car idles, there are lots of other things that can happen. It's an alternative. Nobody's insisting you do it. This is one. Allows it wastes gas because the car is just parked in one spot. Okay. It's not moving. You're wasting gas. There's another one that it boils your oil. Most cars have engine oil. It burns it faster because it has to take note of some reason, and then it pollutes air because you're wasting gas. Something similar to this one that this tweet from Elastics. So if we decide to let's just stick to the negatives, we won't have anything done. Hang on, another example was with the railway.
Okay, Emmanuel, we're taking that as your final point.
I just make him understand.
It's all about understanding,
People just do yourself a favor, go and read about these things.
Exactly, and then make decision.
Read about it.
Because there's some people that have already naturally decided that once this thing is in motion, they're going for the auto gas conversion.
It's a good one for those who can afford it.
But we're going to. Our role here is to break it down so they have more options and they can further analyze it along with us and then make their decisions, make their minds up as regards this one. And hopefully, if there are loopholes, which we cannot deny right now, we are seeing some loopholes. If there are loopholes at this point in time, it's for government to go back and look at how it can be more favorable, because in the end, it's an alternative. And if it's not going to work out, then what is an alternative in the end? So that's how we're wrapping it up on this particular story. Our lines are still very much open. They're officially open. You can make further contributions, but for this particular story, we've wrapped it up on today. As you can see on the screen, 0815-301-5946. You can call us to make your contributions, and we'll be glad to hear them at this point in time. I will be so glad because, at one point, I thought punches were going to
you should have gotten used to this by now.
I could see I had a premonition where punches were going to start.
Nah, that's never going to happen. Of course not.
Hopefully. So
of course. We're trying to break it down. That's all.
And I was shouting at the top of my voice.
Not
How
shouting.
civil is that?
Oh, sorry,
Exactly. I don't want to have to pull out the class captain card every single
But you enjoy doing it.
I do, but if it doesn't work every time.
Why are you apologizing about me? I didn't do nothing.
Okay, moving on to the next story. And now it's about insecurity, this particular one. And the headline reads, we've mentioned this earlier on, but the headline says, President Muhammad Buhari agrees to address the House of Representatives over insecurity. So like we said throughout this week, who knows for how long it's going to keep on trending, as you can see on the screen, the headline. And the story says, President Muhammad Buhari of Nigeria has agreed to address the House of Representatives over the security situation across the country as requested by the lawmakers. And the Speaker of House of Representatives, Femi Gbadabiamila, who disclosed this to State House correspondents after meeting privately with the President, said a date to meet the lawmakers has been agreed upon and would be communicated to the public soonest. And once again, we have an insert for this particular story to further buttress it. So we'll roll that in now with the help of our producers.
than me or you. That's all I can say. Than me or you. You know, they say on easy lies the head that wears the crown. And we'll leave everything until when he comes to the house. Let me not preempt him. But all I can tell you right now, the DS is here, the leader is here to bear me witness. He's committed, fully committed to the security of the welfare, lives and property of Nigerians.
Okay, and that's that on the particular insert, or rather on the insert. And it says, further going into the particular story, a correspondent reports that the speaker also said the president is deeply concerned about the deteriorating security situation in the country. So that's that on the particular story.
Yeah, like I said, there was one tweet that got me. You know, yesterday we were saying we know our president.
Yeah, it's going to come out.
And then in our brief conversation before we went into deep analysis, we said, well, would it be virtual? Would it physically come there? I know they've been trying to practice social distancing in the House of Reps because they do one seat, one seat. I mean, they still COVID-19. But the question will now be, would the president really physically attend that call? They've not fixed the date yet. According to the speaker, he says, we're working with the president's tight schedule, until he has time for us. He can just sit in his office one day and then make the call.
Just video call.
Has he done the same thing they want him to do though? If he does the meeting virtually?
I think basically they just want him to come explain himself.
Exactly, they just want his opinion on it, and
Like,
they want
doesn't have to be there to do
so
that.
it doesn't have to be him presently there. It doesn't physically be in there. So I think that rules that out.
I think it should be fine.
It should be fine
because we're not there, so. But for me, I think it should be fine.
They haven't actually disclosed whether it's going to be virtual or it's going to be physical.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying.
And so depending on them, by the time they decide and say it's going to be virtual or physical, then the Senate will react. So if they don't agree for that, and then they will have to obviously go back and reschedule on that particular one. So for now, I'm going with Arrowa, like you said, we can't actually decide. We can't say, even if we want it to be virtual, at this point in time, he's agreed for a meeting. I think they should have the meeting, virtual or not. I'm fine with it as long as there's a meeting and they can actually address it, because it's communication. Either way, it can't be hindered.
As far as both parties understand each other.
He's there virtually,
There's
that one should be ruled out.
There's this thing about the choice of words when our media houses or whichever decides to carve their headlines. They make it all sweet and just to get you to read. So when they use words like the House of Reps summons the president to come, and they decide to do a virtual meeting.
It's like
did they summon him?
Even the word summon is not something you naturally use for the president.
These things about like just call it your servant.
Like a boss, like
it's not something you
come
use
here.
for the
Like someone
president.
need to come and tell us what they want, and then he decides to do a virtual meeting. And I'm thinking, has he really solved what people wanted, or he just want to see his face, look whether he's the real person?
Yeah, they want his view on it, and I believe they made that out.
I think it's much more
that
about
that's what
just
they're
hearing his view.
interested in.
The way we did our own capture, he wants to go and address them. So
Exactly.
I mean, he tries to address them virtually, tries to address them physically, as long as he addresses them, it's fine.
Hashtag Rise and Shine Nigeria for that particular
Nigeria.
one. Okay, so in terms of analysis, okay, we've ruled out that particular side. Emmanuel, I hope things don't get heated up on this particular one.
It wasn't heated. We're discussing.
But we done with this
What do you want to say about it?
Now we're going in depth. We just talked about the first part, whether it's going to be virtual or physical.
Oh,
and
okay.
we've agreed. I like the fact that we've agreed on that particular one. Okay, so now let's go deeper into it, and we cannot rule out. There's a big circle on that. But the reason why they've called for the address, and that's as regards insecurity situation, as regards the call for the sacking of chiefs, the service chiefs. So let's look at it at this point in time, and also let's look at it as give it a premonition or a future look on it. What do you think? How do you think this is going to play out at this point in time? If they say the president agrees, virtual or physically, and they ask for the sacking of the service chiefs, do you think the president is going to go in that line?
Yeah.
And then either way, when he comes out, is he going to give us strategies on updates on strategies on how they're going to be taking out the terrorists and things like that? And if he doesn't, how is the Senate going to react? Do you think it's something we're going to drag on? So, I mean, come on, guys. Your views, this is when I need you to react and then you're delaying.
When they tag me as a PR of government, please, what would they be expecting to hear that will give them enough confidence that something is going or something is happening? I'm just imagining. Imagine the person that comes and says, okay, you know what? I'm sending 12 battalions to go to Borno State and then use all their military might to ransack the whole place. Would they hail him? Or I'm just trying to imagine the kind of expression they're gonna have when he decides to do the address. Or he comes and tells them, okay, we're working on
But
this.
can he truly tell us that, especially if it's going to be something that's announced publicly, aren't our terrorists being informed at this point in time?
When the whole thing happened yesterday, we're looking at the plus and the minuses, and now he has agreed to address them. So I'm thinking, okay, what would he even say?
Exactly.
That will be reassuring. So I'm thinking,
But Emmanuel, before you think about it, can he actually come out and give us the strategies that they're working on? Exactly. So that's why I'm wondering at this point. I'm trying to picture how the meeting will be.
They insisted, right? I mean, it's even constitutional for them to summon whoever it is in the country to come and be witness is in the constitution. The question now is, what are they expecting to hear?
Exactly. I think at this point, maybe they're just going to be, they want to just table down the sacking of the service chiefs. That would be maybe really what they want to do.
They want to tell him face to face.
Yes, that he should do it.
All the news reports that he's saying, it's not
because at this point in time, being realistic, he can't give us the strategy. So what else are they going to talk about?
Okay, now I'm talking about this service chief sacking of it. I don't know why we're still, I mean, people will still say it.
We're trying to have a picture on what is going to go down in the meeting. And if we can't come up with something, then, I mean, that means they're going to struggle. So
they might not struggle.
Okay, so
why I think they might not struggle is if three of us can agree on the facts that no president should or will come out to give you the strategy. Exactly. Number one reason why no president should do that is because, like, we're watching TV. Terrorists do watch TV.
Gain intelligence.
So they would know whatever it is you're planning. The second reason is the people you're explaining it to, do they even understand strategy? So there's no point doing that.
So what you basically come and tell us the same thing that they will say when according to the presidency, we're working hard, we're putting things in. That's what we hear. So that's
what we should be expecting. What we should be expecting is basically still the service.
Exactly. And at that point,
but I don't
how do you think it's going to play out?
But I don't think it will be them demanding that he sacks them. Why? Because judging from who we have known our president to be, you don't basically tell him what to do.
Okay, but looking at that, so at this point, maybe they're calling on him to convince them on why they should relax on the fact that they're calling for the sack of service chiefs.
Or just reassure them that they have things, that he has things under control.
Exactly. So they just need some convincing.
Ignorant thought that came to my head. When we mention service chiefs, we know we're talking about not just the military here, that's the army. We're talking about the Navy, the Air Force.
Yes.
That's all of them.
Yes.
So we're scrapping all of them at the same time. And this thought just came to my head. When we are going when we send our military guys to go attack the insurgents, what do we really use? Which arm of our military do we use? Do we use just the army and the Air Force, or do we use both the Air Force and the Navy? Or
it depends. I think it depends on the terrain.
Exactly.
It depends on the terrain.
Yeah.
Very important. Now, the Lake Chad Basin is not surrounded by water.
So you're saying we're ruling out Navy?
So we're naturally ruling out Navy. Now, the Air Force, fine.
Yes, we get it.
So if we are saying we want to sack the service chiefs, are we doing ourselves good by taking out the head of the Navy?
I don't know. I personally, I haven't seen any headline or watched any press release that says they want them to sack all the service chiefs. I would believe. No, let me explain. I would believe what it was supposed to mean is the service chiefs that are involved in that particular area.
Okay, and wouldn't that be the military act? Yeah, exactly, an Air Force.
Yes.
The police, if they say you change the police alone will have like
Emmanuel, let's not go there.
Last count they changed like 11, and the service chiefs have been there for like all the while. They changed like 11. The current one now has come to tell us basically what they said. Take away police escorts from VIPs.
Yes.
They are still there. Take checkpoints they still have checkpoints. Look, all the things they don't come and give us the same sound, but like it's like they have this sheet of paper.
But there's been a little bit of change talking about insecurity and police. Now, no, normally you can't dress well and walk the streets of Lagos without getting pulled over by one SAS this, SAS that. Like now they drive past. No, seriously, I've seen like 3 or 4 vehicles just drive past, and I'm like, hi, and they're like, hi, like no one is stopping anyone.
You got doing that.
They're humans. I'm human. There's nothing wrong with saying hi to someone that's carrying out his duties.
You also know that this same police IG had said they shouldn't be blocking plate numbers, and it still happened.
For the police vehicle.
Yeah, any vehicle.
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any that's still blocked.
Right in front of the
Okay,
office.
how did we?
The car drove past and they had the plate number.
All right.
Well, it's a work in
We are
progress.
sort of going off. Okay, we are sort of going off. So still back on it, our views on this one. So are we saying that there isn't really much of a foresight we can give towards this meeting?
There's not much we can
Let's
predict.
just take out the old service chiefs and bring new ones.
No. I don't think that's
Let's
going
take
to be.
them all out. And
Let's give credit to these people. I believe for them to even be able to garner the votes to be there, they're brilliant enough to have achieved that. So I don't picture them making such
Let's
requests.
just so that headline will just stop. The northern area has said it.
But do you think we're going to get that? That's what I'm trying to say in the end.
With the president that we have, well, he's as stubborn as any other person
Okay,
that we can find.
so in the end, are we saying that we're having a meeting that isn't really going to take us forward?
I was asking the
because
listener,
at this
what do
point
they
in time,
I think we're going to have a meeting, but then the result of the meeting is something we have to wait to get.
but either way, everyone would be interested, and they're looking forward to it because they hope to gain something from it. So are we just going to get an update on we're going to do more, we're going to work harder? Is that what we're looking? That's what I'm trying to point out.
That's basically what we should be looking out for.
Giving the House of Rep members a heads up. The honorables, this is what you would gain.
Assistant
you gain our
Femi.
president giving you assurance that we're working hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's from the assistant. to
And
the
we're changing
Speaker
our
of House of
strategy, include that.
Representatives.
And we're changing our strategy.
We're strategizing.
Okay.
We're getting our military enough funding. This is the president.
Yeah,
you know.
they require some
No, I
copters.
believe you're coming as the assistant to the Speaker
Of
of House of
course, I'm giving them the heads up. So
Okay.
this is what is expected here. So when you hear this, do not be surprised. I don't want any of you to take this out of context. We'll give you assurance that we're working hard by ensuring that everybody is safe. The security will be taken away gradually. The process is moving. We're putting all the mechanism to get this thing.
This is longer than the normal ones they give.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you get this, it's not enough.
It's thoughtful. It's thoughtful. It
Okay.
seems much more
We'll
considerate
know with time.
than what we usually
I
get.
tried, right?
You tried,
No,
you
not
tried, you
just
did
because
good.
it's right. What I was trying to point out is looking at his speech so far, it seems more considerate than what we usually get from stories.
Maybe I'm gonna
So
write
that's what I'm saying. Maybe we should give it a try. You never know.
You should write a speech.
Dear President,
A voluntary
Buhari,
one.
just open your email. I'll send you your email address. I'm going to drive. It's very wonderful.
All right. So on that one, we'll be waiting for more updates. They said the particular date for the meeting will be communicated to the public, and then hopefully it's probably next week or something, because we're not going to
Let's
actually
see on
wait.
December 25.
No, we don't want that to
Why
happen.
wait so long for something that we at this point we've said?
I
We can have it
It's just going to be
sooner.
an
I
update,
have to say
exactly.
that I know the lawmakers will go on recess.
That's also another
And they
thing.
also want to of our houses.
True.
True.
Well, we'll be waiting on that particular one, and hoping that something apart from what we've mentioned, something a little bit stronger than what we've mentioned comes out of it in the end. Okay, so as regards the two stories, we're going to be going on a short break right now. We'll be going for the weather report, and when we come back, we'll be looking at more stories we've picked out today for the in-depth analysis. Just stay tuned. Yes, welcome back from that much needed break, and looking at what transpired so far before the break, it got quite heated at the same time, and then I had myself in a position where I was pleading for this particular story to just fade out. Either way, our lines are still open for a quick contribution.
I didn't even know that happened.
Although we'll soon be wrapping up on the in-depth analysis, and I'm not saying that for the viewers out there, I'm saying that for Emmanuel and Arrow. So let's quickly move on to our next headline and story for today.
Okay, sorry too.
Okay, so we've looked at latest updates as regards auto gas for cars and the conversion process, and then we've talked about insecurity, which either way, whether you like it or not, you find yourself chipping in. Even in your normal one-on-one interactions at home, personal relationship discussions you're having, you just realize that you're talking about insecurity-related issues, and that's how trendy it is, and that's how important it is. But moving on, let's look at something else that is also of utmost importance, and we have updates on that, and that's as regards the power sector. Looking at everything that has transpired this week as regards the power sector, talking about solar power, talking about the blackout of the national grid, and now we're talking about prepaid meters once again, which we always come back on and off, and no matter what is said, it just seems like it's not taken seriously.
Why do you always feel she can't relate? Does she have power issues in her house? She can't even relate.
Okay, let's... what do you mean?
She can't relate.
You don't have power issues.
The headline, as you can see on the screen, reads, federal government to sanction discos selling meters. And the story says the president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, has reiterated his resolve to sanction any disco or their agents selling prepaid meters rather to their customers against the directive that they should be distributed free. And the special advisor to the president on infrastructure, Ahmed Rufai Zakar, who represented the president earlier this week at the FGN or NLC to TUC, or the Trade Union Congresses, so far an ad hoc committee on electricity tariffs, stakeholders engagement in Ibadan rather, Oyo State, said the president understood the citizens' plights on issues surrounding electricity and was determined to deal with bad elements. Also, let's remember or recall that the president's directive, or the presidential directive, was that a total of 6 million meters, I have to emphasize on this, 6 million meters manufactured or assembled locally to create jobs should be rolled out to electricity consumers at no cost, to also end the agitation against estimated billing, which is a big one. And Zakar added that even for meters that were paid for, there is a directive from the regulator that the discos will find a way to reimburse the citizens over time. Okay, so as regards this one, quick reactions, emphasis on that, but also...
Let me start, I don't know, it's looking like it has this pessimism.
No, I'm actually optimistic this time around.
You're optimistic this time around.
No, why I'm optimistic is the fact that for the first time he has come out to say, I have been sanctioned if you say...
No, it's not the first time. Oh, sorry, I have to call you out on that particular one. When he came out and he said everyone should be metered and we should not have estimated billing. That was when we had the more prominent talk about the increase in the tariff prices when it comes to electricity. So it's not the first time he's talking about...
No, this one is different from that.
Am I the only one?
I'm not surprised. This one I'm thinking she can't relate, and I'm thinking...
I can relate, but there's just this thing about this one. I feel like
I felt about the last one, Arawa. I'm sorry, that was exactly
they said they put things in motion to ensure that even those that ended up buying it, their monies would be refunded to them.
That's what I'm saying. Look, I think we all missed out. We all missed out something very significant from this report.
Which is?
There's a presidential directive to make our lives better. It is we ourselves, and I'm saying we, I mean Nigerians, are sabotaging it. That is we. Okay. It still comes back to everything else that is presidential.
We talked about that
I was
this week
optimistic.
Well.
No, what I meant was like kudos to the president. I wasn't talking about the Nigerians yet.
That report that we're missing out. Now for him to come back after a month or so, when he gave that directive, to realize, oh, these people are actually doing what I said they should do. Who is sabotaging it? This was supposed to make our lives better. Then we're jabbing, okay, how would you give 1 meter per house? Yeah. How would they share it?
Okay.
They're not even giving it at all.
Emmanuel, quickly before you land on your point, we have a tweet.
At Dr. Under Linda replying to us says, why does this government just like to give us false hope?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
No,
how
that's
someone
what I'm saying.
feels.
We need just like every directive that passed. I'm not even talking about this government. Every government that we've always had.
Yeah.
When they pass a directive, we as Nigerians always find a way to always want to sabotage it.
Exactly,
It happened
and
with the
it
rail.
immediately
It happened with the rail.
Yes.
immediately
Rail was-
after.
yes.
It's like we're trying to test this government.
Yeah,
basically.
it happened with the rail thing. We're supposed to have rail as an alternative. Now I'm using the word alternative, so everybody, because you're not supposed to use the rail anyway. Now you have the rail as an alternative. We are now holding tickets.
Now,
Somebody's supposed to maintain those trains that broke down.
why I
We
was
didn't maintain
optimistic
it.
about this particular news, and I'm still going to do it again. This is for the president.
I'm not with
now
you on this one. I
Yeah,
have to spell it out.
it's
Manuel,
okay. You can always be on my side. You can always be on my side. Now, going to Nigerians, in this particular one, I feel like sometimes Nigerians are just the problem. The president has said
Most of the time.
Do
it is for
this.
free. Do this.
And you decide
Now
to
you see
collect
other Nigerians who decide to collect money. Now those of us that go there and still pay the money, don't you think there should come a time where we just band together and go there and say, hell no, we're not paying for this and stand your ground? It's the same thing that happens in refueling stations now. For example, you get that you want to buy a liter for maybe like 150 when it was fixed at that. Then they tell you 50 naira for keg. Because you're in a hurry, you pay it. Why not stand your ground and say,
You're basically encouraging the bad thing.
Okay, but
Exactly what I'm
Emmanuel,
saying.
Emmanuel, I get the point that he's saying, but I still stand on the fact there's a presidential directive towards it. So why do we still have situations where Nigerians are still going against it?
because they want to make
I
quick
mean,
money?
no. So what is now being done to actually curb that?
That's why
because
he's coming out
every
to say
single time
he's
he's
coming.
come. The last time I stand on it, the last time he came out to say it, and then it was during the period when where people were talking about estimated billing
billions
charges
and
and
all
all
this.
those things,
Yeah.
and it still went up. And it's still been going on, and that's why he has to come back and say it again. A presidential directive. I mean, also the last one was
Another reason-
Let me make it interesting for
We
you.
do have a tweet
I
though,
mean-
but another reason.
there should be
as-
something to curb his heart. They're
No,
going
hang on. I'm gonna come
I
to
think
you.
we need to beg
As
you this
Angel-
time around.
As Agent Manuel says, replying to us, says, we shouldn't pay for meters. I still paid recently. Of course. Look, because...
Why did you refuse to pay?
No, hang on.
They
No, hang
don't
on.
get it because someone else is not checking in.
Okay,
Now
that's
what I'm trying to
listen.
point out.
Now
That's what I'm
listen.
saying
Now
before. That's
now
what
the
he's
government
saying.
has said there will be sanction. So now it's going from no, hold on please,
I
hold
agree,
on please.
I agree with
It has
you.
gone from the government just saying it to the discourse and the other ones
The
themselves
last time there
now
were
wanting
sanctions as
no
well.
hold
Maybe they're
on.
just probably increasing the strength of the sanctions.
Did
But the last one
you
too had
try to
sanctions.
understand?
Should I take this
Faith,
international?
Faith, do you understand what he said when he said we were the problems? I'll give you another example. We've complained about the Apapa gridlock for years. And there was a directive that all tankers from that place should leave.
Yes.
And where are the tankers now? They're back on the roads. When they give
Why
a
don't
directive,
Nigerians do the
and
right
then they
things?
had task force and they were complaining, oh, they said if we're going to do these things, the tanker drivers will go on strike. And who will suffer? We at the end of the day.
So at a point in time,
So
Nigerians
without
just
it,
have to take
The task force people
responsibility.
left the place,
Okay.
the trucks returned.
Once again, like the auto gas, this is an interesting one, and at this point in time, I don't just want to hear this too because so our official line.
But trust me, we are agreeing on this one.
Yeah.
Either way, I'd love to hear someone else. I mean, don't you get tired?
Okay, fine, okay, fine.
Exactly. So
Okay, fine.
our lines are still open with 0815-301-5946. You can call us in, and we want to hear your lovely contributions. I mean, power is another thing that gets everyone riled up every single time.
course.
Just looking at the tweets already. So
I'm thinking,
I'd love to hear
okay,
your
I have to
contributions.
recharge my prepaid meter because unfortunately I'm one of those people who paid for mine. Now, I didn't even know I was supposed to be getting paid back.
Yeah.
Because definitely they cannot give me my cash back. But the fastest way for them to do that is each time you,
like if you
recharge,
extra.
they probably give you extra points or you pay at a discounted rate. That would have been the smartest way to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that until this news came up. Like,
Yeah.
they're supposed to even give those that are paid. I'm like, eh. I only wanted another one because I'm tired of sharing with my neighbors who use more electricity than I do. I'm thinking, okay, let me apply. And they said I was going to pay again. I'm like, I already paid for the first one. They said, it's one per house. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm stuck here. So when the directive from the presidency now came and said, give you for free, I thought to go apply again. How much is it? They said it's the same rate. And I'm like, how would it be the same rate? The president said it's free. They said they didn't hear the directive. I'm like, how did you not hear the same directive I heard? Is it that we're using different...
See,
Okay,
it's
so
not
in the
like
end,
they didn't hear it.
Okay.
They hear it and they've heard it before. But how sanctions work is, for example, let's say United States and Russia. When America sanctions Russia, they tend to not listen, maybe because the sanction is not strong enough. So they come up with another one. I do understand that, yes, they've been sanctioned before.
Okay, we have a call
we have a
coming
call.
in. We have to hold on that particular one. Although I'm not even in support of Ariwa, so I like that quote. Sorry to say, not being
No
petty.
problem, no problem.
Not being petty, not being petty. But hello, good morning. Who do we have on the line speaking?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Divine. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Okay. Lots of
Divine.
Ikeja people are busy. on
And there's
program.
really a problem with light, you know. Since they're
They're
close to
enjoying
Yes,
the-
they
right now.
actually don't. Ikeja is still one place
let's hear.
that I'm speaking to. Okay, Divine, you have the room.
Okay, so the headline for today about the meter. I don't understand. I still have somebody that paid for meter last week. So when were we not supposed to?
Now collect your money back
for
now.
this? I don't understand that part.
Tell the person to go and collect the money back. The president has
But the
spoken.
president told them to find a way to give her, so they still have to find a way to give her that.
We keep on hearing these lies. They just come out, just say anything because they feel yes. Nobody's going to come out, challenge them, just sit down somewhere and just okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Eileen, you're talking about sanctions, but see, she doesn't even believe in it.
The
Yeah.
fact that you don't believe doesn't mean sanctions are not
We are
useful.
Years ago, there were
I'm
statements
saying,
everywhere.
how can we truly say that the sanctions are going to be strong enough?
And faith.
Yeah.
Now we're having faith and being
Be
optimistic.
taking for Empower
Yes.
and all those other kinds
Yes,
of stuff.
yes,
And
yeah.
then nobody follows up all those kind of news. Then time now we see here that it's the same 500,000 they've been employing, they are still employing. And I don't know, this kind of things, I don't know. I think at this stage, the presidency should have at least a bit of immense kind of attitude towards these people. We are not fools. You can't just be giving us these things and just allowing us to adjust it. No, it's actually very, very sad hearing that, okay, we're not supposed to pay for meters and people have been paying for meters. Fine, I understand that, yes. It could be a direct directive from the president and probably people around him and just trying to sabotage
Yeah.
the whole thing. But then, he should be able to follow up. If he gives an order as the president, he should be able to follow up. We should have people that report back to him and say, okay, we have done this thing. Just like the time when Fashola was governor of Lagos State. Whenever he did something, or probably they were working on the project or something,
He goes there.
disguises himself and goes to that
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
sure that work is being done here. Yeah, probably he doesn't start when the president has to do those things because we can't just keep hearing these things and because at the end of the day, he will come and say another thing. The person in charge of the power sector will come and say another thing, and everything will just be in disarray. Like we're just like sheep to that shepherd in this country. That's just how I see that.
All right, Divine. Thank
All
you
right,
very much.
Divine,
You know
thank you so much for your honest contribution. Thank you so much.
Let me pick up from where she stopped. Now, I understand we've been hearing things like this, regularly and nothing has been done. Now, understand that it's a president making, this announcement, if I'm allowed to call it that.
Just to inform you, your final points on this.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking. That's what I'm taking.
Okay.
Now, I believe he has to hold a meeting with governors of each state because obviously he can't, basically come down to wherever
Each
they are
state.
paying each state.
Or each
So
local
now
government
he comes
to
down to the
monitor these
governor
things.
of each state. And governors of each state now go down to local government chairmen of each local government or local council development area.
Okay.
Now it's their job individually to make sure that these things are being checked, to ensure that they're not collecting money from these people. But at the same time, it still boils down to the Nigerians. If they say don't pay and you have evidence to prove that don't pay, go there and say I refuse to pay. When 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 people do this, it will eventually catch some attention. If it doesn't work, go on social media.
Okay.
Start announcing
Let me
people
pick up
paying.
let me pick up from where I
And
was
as you're
stopped.
picking, you're dropping it.
Of course.
as quickly as
As it's
possible.
hot, too, I'm dropping it as
Okay.
hot. Now, Ira, valid point. I think one of the problems we also have as Nigerians is we fail to understand the hierarchy of government. Everybody likes to blame, it's a presidential directive, right? Why are we not following through? He gave his reasons why he insisted 6 million meters should go out. He also added to that directive that those things should be produced here. Why? So that to create jobs for
Employment
us.
opportunity.
That is another thing. We are thinking, okay, there are no jobs. Here was an avenue to create jobs. Nobody's even asking questions from that angle. Now, he broke it down by saying, how would the president go and monitor something that's happening in your streets? Many of you on your streets have paid for these meters. Who is the closest person for you to have reported to? Your local government chairman. Many don't even know who their local government chairman are.
And they are ward leaders too.
I'm even going too far. Your ward leader. Before you go from a ward leader to your local government chairman. Before you even think of going to the state governor. Before you think of going to the presidency. Or is it easy to say, okay, the man has up there has said something. No problem. Then when it doesn't work, let's blame the head that sits on the throne. That's not how it works all the time. Understand how the hierarchy works. If they say, don't do this, we all should work together. It's the same Nigeria that we want to be better. Yeah. You're all supposed to contribute to your own quota. It works with every directive, not just with this one. Every directive that has to do with government.
I think we have a
Let's
tweet.
take the tweet.
Okay, at General Bayo replying to us says, the president has good plans. It's just the people around him that doesn't let this come to life.
Okay.
No, I agree with us basically.
That's understandable. Yes,
But has he been able to, I don't want to say me now, but
I do agree. We have a call and we're taking the last, this will be the last call for this particular segment. Hello, good morning. Who do we have on the line? And we have lost it, safe to say. We'll give you a few more minutes to try again, but this is going to be the last call we'll be taking for this particular story.
But has he been able to preach?
I've been able to see some lights to this. He's shed some lights, but at this point in time, my final thoughts on this, all I'm going to say is this directive has come out, and you're talking about the fact that applauding for the fact that there are going to be sanctions, and want to believe, like you said, I should have faith, I should be optimistic, I should use my name, I should let my name work. All right, I always get attacked on that particular one. So having my name work for me at this point in time, having faith. Are you trying to tell me that in another 2 months we're not going to have another directive coming out because people are complaining that yet the situation is still ongoing?
Then we could have stronger sanctions.
Let's even have the meters available.
Exactly. It's still the same thing. Like, are we still not going to have
6 million that he said
2 months time people coming out to say I still haven't gotten the meters?
Lots of people don't have the meters
But then
yet.
I told you were the one who was saying, at least, give kudos where kudos is due.
Hello, good morning. We have another caller. Hello, good morning. Who do we have on the line? Hello? Okay. Hi, Faith.
Faith calling Faith.
Faith is about to share her faith with us on today's.
Let's hope she's optimistic, right? Don't go with other sad news, though.
Okay. So, this whole thing, I don't know if I'll say it's funny or disappointing. See, meter or no meter, the shine of light there. Let's be able to enjoy
The light, right?
7 hours of light.
That one is another turn on that.
Hours of light.
You have to even know back you not even gotten the meters before you don't talk about. I've even forgotten about them because we're so distracted or focused on the meters and everything. Okay, Faith, we're listening to you. So that's it. You're just about actually having lights to do things. Okay.
Don't worry now. There's solar panels coming soon now to your house. What?
Faith, do not listen to him.
I didn't say anything, bro.
Okay then, we agree with you. We've lost a call. Thank you so much, Faith.
You chased her away with that. You shouldn't have said that.
No. Well, we read that yesterday.
It's understandable. That's just the mindset of people. They don't really care at this point in time because
They just want the power.
Exactly. Even in the end, when you do all this, am I still going to get lights?
I just thought about it. I was like, okay, the solar panels would it work with the prepaid meter?
Okay.
Okay, so are we fighting the lost cause here by demanding for prepaid meter?
But there's too many things that don't even join. Like, how does the solar panel work with the
If it won't work, should we now be looking for the prepaid meter? Let's just shelve that one now.
We still have generators, so solar panel, prepaid meter, generator.
I mean, what do you think? I know you don't even bother.
What?
There's always lights you have.
No, it's not touching her.
I never said that.
You
I
don't
just
have
said
to.
that there were
But we asked you
a
the
certain
other
number
time.
of hours of light at least I was seeing every day. I mean, do I need to be
Like
attacked for that?
23 out of 20.
If I'm
Only solar
experiencing
panel.
something that is happening in this country, will I now lie about it? I have to be honest. That means some parts of the world actually still
Yeah,
get
that's why
light,
we're
some
saying
parts
it's
of the
not
country.
touching you. It's not.
I didn't say
You don't
that.
need solar panels.
I didn't say that.
No, she doesn't.
Okay, it's been a great one on today's. Yes, I'm sure you didn't see that coming. But as always, that's why I'm class captain. Okay, so it's been a great one on today's in-depth analysis. That's all we can take. Sorry to say our lines are officially closed on this particular one, but you can join us for other things. We still have the sports analysis and the lighter segment coming shortly.
I can't
after
wait for
all
that
this.
one.
Okay, so once again, it's been a great one, but we're going to be going on a quick break so that we can coming for the sports analysis and all the lighter things. It's still Rise and Shine. Get ready for the next part of this lovely episode. Just stay tuned.